Today I worked on another MegaMan.EXE sketch, and this time I focused on slowing down my process. Um, and that's both focusing on the details before, the structure first, always before the details, and then also even moving my hand slower as I'm drawing, like literally, not that I'd ever try to rush, um, but like going even slower, like if there's anything that I'm like, all right, like uh either I'm aware that this needs to be like very very exact, maybe I'm looking back and forth between the reference and what I'm drawing, or I'm actually uh just thinking to myself, like as I'm drawing this, I might even feel like unsure, or I'm seeing like that this is not like the stably coming out as I like it to, so I'll slow it down and try to see if that helps with me carefully getting it more exact, so I can get every little thing that's more exact from the structure outwards causes the actual photo to look more exact, because everything that you have a photo of everything being exactly the way that you would have, maybe if you planned for it to be that exact, you're helping make that more of a reality. um and if I don't have the skill level yet, I have to be careful, obviously, until I can build that skill level where that comes naturally. um instead of rushing instead of rushing through the drawing, I tried to build everything more carefully. I starting with the structure and making sure everything connects properly. um I mentioned this in a prior video, but especially to the point of before I even get into um let's talk about, like, if I use the word outer stuff. So when I'm saying outer stuff, I'm talking about literally what the final drawing would look like. But let's say that before I'm drawing the outer stuff, there's inner things, and I'm not drawing the inner things exact, but like I might I might for example, a stick figure is not the same thing as a skeleton, but let's say that the stick figure is something that you could draw before you draw the character, excuse me, over it, right? You could draw the stick figure, you could draw the muscles. Maybe you don't know how to draw the muscles, so you draw like literally uh like a oval balloon that appears the way that muscle would appear. Maybe you draw you draw circles for joints and ligaments, or like, where the elbow is, where the shoulder is, where each hip is, where the knees, ankles, parts of the feet, toes, fingers. You could draw like a literal ball there as a joint, right? And you do it lightly, but what happens is these are all things that are guidelining everything that's going to be both on top of it. So stick figure, skeleton, balls as a joint, literally. Just to be aware of where something might be placed. Like that's where the knee is going to be placed when you draw the knee over it, over this light sketch of a stick figure, right? You can draw like the way the musculature would be, not even the exact musculature, but like some a placeholder that goes there before you even draw the character over it. So I've noticed I've been doing that a lot more to help ensure that I'm carefully placing things correctly, because it's just like, oh, like there's times that I could draw something correct, but if it's not placed where it needs to be, then it's just like, all right, I did a good job with that arm, but the arm was like a little bit disconnected from the body, or it was out of placement. So if I just make sure the arm is in placement, now it's a well drawn arm in placement, and everything that's well drawn and in placement makes the you're strengthening your ability to make this character look more recognizable, or like the actual character, or what, however you're trying to draw it. Or if you have your own style, or if you're trying to do another style, You imagine you're doing a character in another style. Well, in another style, um, what makes that other style the way it is? Like, if it's more cartoonistic, maybe you're obeying less things about like realistic human anatomy, and you're following something that's specifically cartoonistic. Like, and what are some cartoon types of styles? Like, chibi characters, right? Where it's a big head, small body, um, shorter limbs. Um, there, anime is its own style, obviously, because like Americanized cartoons or other cartoons in the world might not appear like anime. Anime, what are some things that appear more in anime? Well, it's mostly, I think, their eyes and their face. The eye and the face structure, or the way the eyes appear. Maybe some of the hairstyles. I think that has way more to do with why something would be considered anime, obviously. Or that the artists who have created anime, that's like a the thing that you could use to identify a character instantly. Characters could have the same build anywhere, but it's like their hair and their face would be things that you're paying attention to. So you pay attention to why does a placement go like this or that. Um, if you're drawing not anime but other types of cartoons, um, you're probably looking at the way characters are drawn in that specific cartoon and trying to apply that and anat anatomical. Did I say that correctly? You're studying the anatomy of how things are drawn, and then you're trying to apply that to your art. So you could draw. So for example, you could draw a character in their costume and their appearance, but like literally the skeleton underneath that, it might need to be restructured, obviously, to follow that style that you're trying to do. So, but either way, like if you can understand the anatomy underneath the actual thing you're drawing, you can get the actual placement correct based on specifically what you're trying to do. So, and maybe you don't have to pay attention, excuse me, to these things the better you are at it, because you practice and you've gotten better at it. But like if you're still learning it, or it's something that you can't just do off the top of your head, like yeah, there's things you can do um to keep in mind how and why you're placing everything the way you're doing it, and working on the skill of actually placing it that way. And you can pay attention to how the literally the anatomy would of the thing would be underneath it, so that by the time you even draw the thing, it's right where it needs to be. And then it's a constant process of getting the anatomy correct, so the placement is correct, and then getting the details on top of the structure correct as well, until it obviously the art is becoming more of the exact thing you're trying to draw. um I'm starting to notice this approach. It makes a big difference in how clean the final result looks. Excuse me. I compared to my older drawings, this one feels more controlled. I can still see areas that need improvement, especially with proportions and smaller details. If I shaded this would have looked better. So what happens is me not shading things, I've noticed like there's whether you want to call it mistake lines or this isn't pen, so not literally anything I draw is not being erased. So miss if a line is off, I have to draw over that line with a line that's a bit darker to where you couldn't tell I made a mistake. Or something else is being placed around it to where you wouldn't have seen that was a mistake. And other than that, everything has to be literally perfect, literally, for it to come out to the way that it's even coming out based on what my drawing ability is. So, um, that's like a lot of things that's shown up. The hand as well, like that, I could have laid out the structure of the hand better, so that it has more like that the hand in the back that's in a fist. It could have I could have done better with the structure of the hand so that the hand gets the point across, but like I could have maybe done stuff to make it feel more dimensional and less flat. The some of the knuckles could have been pointing out less than a few centimeters more, um, for it to have more of a natural look. Unless that's how I intended it. Unless that's how I actually intended it to be, which that's not how I intended it to be. I accidentally flattened out the top of the knuckles a little bit too much. Um, so yeah, just a lot of the same stuff that I talk about in other sketch videos. Um, Structure first, drawing everything over the structure, and then doing some more of the darkening of the outer lines. So here's his head, here's his neck, here's his arms, here's his gloves, his arm gun, his boots, parts of his costume that are there's lighter lines for the where the shading would have went, but then there's darker lines for like that's a different color part of the costume. And with his clothing it's different than, it's a full body suit with shading and stripes. Not many stripes in certain places, but there's specific placement. There's a lot of more circles, so things have to be exact. So just keeping all that in mind, obviously. And yeah, but overall this feels like a step upward, and I'm starting to understand the process more.